places like Vietnam, Cambodia, where they'd be in sort of markets where people would go and get them. So it's generally, the skin trade was one thing. That was less of a problem at this point. Traditional medicine was much more of a problem. And so, think also how we might have addressed that as well.
Is there an alternative to traditional medicine? Because I know
Yeah.
it dates back to years, so it's going to be hard to spell.
That's right. Well, it's good. It's yes and no. It's a tradition that goes back a long, long time, but traditionally it was very, very rare, and only a few people had access to it. So traditionally, rhino horn, for example, would be used by the local gentry and the upper people, but not. What happened, what we'd come across here, was when sort of the economic boom in Asia. So it was like old traditions meeting new money. And there were tigers all over China, and they were all wiped out. And there's now, I think, about a dozen left of the South China tiger. And what happened was they were moving further and further afield, and that's part of the whole globalization thing that's going on. I mean, I met somebody in Chinatown in New York who told me there not only are there sort of Western alternatives to these products, but there's also herbal alternatives within traditional medicine. And traditional medicine is probably about 98, 99% herbal, and then a small amount of animal on top, and an even tinier amount of endangered animal on top. So we did start working with traditional medicine practitioners to say, let's promote the alternatives within traditional medicine. Don't make it an attack on traditional medicine. Let's have the traditional medicine people on side, because also a lot of their philosophy of traditional medicine is yin and yang and balance. And what they used to do is, if something didn't become locally available or was made extinct, is they'd switch to an alternative. But because of the globalization, and also because of the affluence, I think a lot of people taking those medicines
is much more long term. You have to change people so that they don't, which you're talking about the herbal medicine. But by the time you change people's minds, there won't be anything to change their minds about it at reducing it. So it seems to me that your initial efforts should be focusing on protecting the supply. And perhaps, and one of the difficulties
that I've met yet wants to make a species go extinct.
Oh no, absolutely not.
And the values on the ground, if you like, from the people that are there in Africa and things, again, they realise it's not in their interest to let these species disappear. So that wasn't as much a problem as it might have been. But you're right, and I think the point you made there is the short-term and long-term. And this is what we usually face in all the programs we deal with. Is there's an instant emergency which you have to address, and then you have to build something for the long-term, otherwise another crisis will come around the corner. So let's look at that short-term thing first. You said you can try and protect the supply. And the supply and demand analysis, I like that a lot. I actually was an economist by training, and that's what my criticism, if you would like, of what happened as conservation is that they